Everybody hear me okay? Okay. We have the guests. Hold on 1 minute. And we're going to get started.
Okay.
Good? Hello? Can you hear me? Yep. Okay. Hello and good evening, Dyker Heights. Welcome to the Dyker Heights 9/11 Memorial and Candlelight Vigil. Tonight's memorial is hosted by E&J Boutique and sponsored by the Brooklyn Tea Party and the Dyker Heights Civic Association. Before we begin, I would like to remind everyone to please keep on your face mask and social distance. We have several guest speakers this evening, which include the Brooklyn Tea Party President, Glenn Nocera, New York State Senate candidate, Vito Bruno. I think he's here. He's on his way. He's on his way. President of the Dyker Heights Civic Association, Francis Vella-Marone, New York City mayoral candidate and 9/11 NYPD first responder, Bill Pepitone. Thank you for that. Republican District Leader and Community Activist Liam McCabe, former State Senator and Senate Vice Chairman, and one of everybody's favorite, Mr. Marty Golden. And absolutely, New York State Assemblywoman and Congressional Candidate from New York State District 11, Nicole Malliotakis. Let's give them a big round of applause. Before we begin, I would like to also take a moment to give tremendous thanks to those in the FDNY Castle on the Hill Firehouse and the 68 Precinct. Because of you and your extreme bravery, we are all able to stay safe. Can we give them a big round of applause, please? We appreciate you all very much. Sorry about the microphone, it's a little touchy. Tonight's first speaker is Mr. Glenn Nocera. Glenn?
Thank you, Eric. We are gathered here tonight to remember the nearly 3,000 souls that were murdered on September 11th, 2001, and the thousands more who have died throughout the years due to the toxic dust that was produced on that day. We are here to honor the memories of our family members. We are here to honor our friends. We are here to honor our neighbors. We are here to honor the brave first responders who, without a care for their own lives, rushed into those burning fires from hell in those Twin Towers so they could save the lives of our fellow New Yorkers that day. We also remember the brave 40 souls of Flight 93. Who already knew their fate when they were hijacked and voted amongst themselves to take back their plane before it was used as a missile to attack our nation's capital. Their selfless act saved the lives of hundreds or even maybe thousands that day. When they were 20 minutes away from Washington, D.C., they made their final calls to their loved ones, saying their goodbyes, saying, I love yous. Then they said, let's roll, to always be remembered in the annals of history as the heroes of Flight 93. We also remember the 184 victims who were savagely murdered at the Pentagon. But we Americans rose up from the ashes to smash Al-Qaeda to the scrap heaps of history and to send them where they belonged, and that was to hell. Let us never forget that day, September 11, 2001. Let us pray to God that it'll never happen again to our country. And may God always bless America. Thank you, and God bless you all. Thank you for coming out. All right. Eric, next speaker would be...
Joe's next.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. If I could have everybody a nice loud ovation for our first responders who are here tonight. God bless all of them. Never forget, for some of us, for most of us, we cannot possibly ever forget. I remember the sights, the sounds, the smells of those days, 9/11 and beyond, the looks on people's faces, in their eyes. I remember that phone call I made to my 4-year-old daughter after the first tower fell. How I told her that Daddy loved her and that I might not ever see her again, because a lot of us thought we would never see our families again. Many of us didn't. But we had a job to do that day and beyond. We had to rescue, we had to recover, we had to mourn. We had a job to do. We stuck together, we stood side by side, and we did it. We did it for New York City, we did it for our country. When President Bush climbed on that pile and put his arm around that firefighter, he put a very, very jittery nation at ease, and he helped settle down a very, very wounded city. We are a wounded city again, for different reasons now. The only way to bring our city back is to do exactly what we did after 9/11. We unite. We come together and we lead New York City back, neighborhood by neighborhood, block by block, street by street, borough by borough. We do it together. We do it as one. We do not let outsiders who have sacrificed nothing for the city divide us further. We unite in the memory of those lost on 9/11 and since then, because their sacrifices were the ultimate sacrifice, and we cannot let that be in vain. God bless those we lost, those we continue to lose. God bless all of you, our first responders. God bless New York City. God bless America, and please, never forget. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker is going to be Liam. Please come down. Liam, once again, I'm sorry. The microphone's a little touchy.
All right. Can everybody hear me back there? All right. First of all, I want to thank Eric for inviting me and putting this on, E&J Boutique for putting this on. And we are here today at a vigil to tell our stories of 9/11. And I think that's very appropriate, a vigil. And if you look at the word vigil, it's from the Latin, vigilia. And I don't know, say Latin scholars there if I pronounced it. I got a C in Latin. But it's very appropriate. Thank you. There, I got a okay in the back. It's very appropriate because it means vigil. It means watch. And it means to pray. And it means to be awake. It's a special kind of prayer, a vigil. It's a prayer at night, through the night, to stay awake. And I think that's very important because we are here today to stay awake through the night, especially regarding the story of what happened on 9/11. And we're here to listen and talk about our stories. I'll tell you briefly my own story, and all of our stories are a little different. On 9/11, it was actually election day. Some of you may remember that. It was a primary day, and I'm involved in politics. I was actually working for one of the candidates running for mayor. And at the time, I was actually dropping my son off at school down in Carroll Gardens at PS 146, the Brooklyn New School. And if you're familiar with the area, the windows face the harbor. And we could see one of the towers had already been hit. It was on fire. And the kids were all lined up against the glass. And the kids were scared. We were all scared. But school was going to carry on that day. And I remember really worrying. I didn't know what was going on. I hadn't known much at the time. There weren't smartphones. I don't think I even had a cell phone. And as I wound down, the class is on the 4th floor. As I came down the stairs, I looked out the window and I saw the second plane hit the tower. And I was terrified. Terror is a perfect word for what I felt and what so many New Yorkers felt. And from Carroll Gardens to where I was going to class, I had a class at St. Francis College, debris had begun to fall down over the harbor and into Brooklyn. So by the time I made it from 4th Place to Remsen Street, black soot and paper and everything was raining down. And yet we went to class anyway. We carried on. We didn't know. The TVs were all off. We were trying to put the TV on. As many remember, the transmission tower from the World Trade Center was down. But we listened to the radio, and we found out what was happening. And in a panic, they evacuated the schools. They evacuated buildings. I ran back to where my son was. I grabbed a mask, an N95 mask on Court Street. I found my son at school. I put it around him, and I carried him. The trains were all shut down. I carried him on my shoulders from Carroll Gardens to Sunset Park. The first person I saw that night, we all saw, this city, this nation, the world, was Rudolph Giuliani. George Bush, as you remember, was in the air, and Rudy gave us this calm. And after that, as many of you did, I started to make phone calls. I had a cousin who worked in the towers. I had friends who were firefighters, family members, and we began to do our accounting. And for me, my cousin made it out of the towers. Some of my friends' family members died. So I was a little lucky in that sense. Some of you weren't that lucky. Some of you found out your husband died, your wife died, your child died. People from all across this city, of every race, of every creed, and every culture. I just want to say one thing about stories. It's an important story. And they attacked that tower because of what it stood for. They told a story too. And I can tell a story. It can be a truth or it can be a lie. It can be fact or it can be fiction. The people that flew planes into those towers believed in lies. They told a story. They had a narrative. It was wrong. It wasn't based in truth. And it's very important we are here today. We're here today, and E&J put this on because something else that about our story was going to happen. There is another way to kill a story. One is to tell lies. The other way to kill a story is to stop telling it, to allow it to not be told anymore. And that was what is happening when those lights were not going to shine. We are here today not only for a normal 9/11 vigil. We are here particularly because they were going to shut down the lights. And they did not. And because of your work and the work of all the patriots across this city, those lights shine tonight. Give yourselves a round of applause. All of you. So I just want to end and remember, we have to continue to tell the story of 9/11, the truth of 9/11.
And remain vigilant. That's why that word vigilant is so important. You hear me?
Yeah. That's why that word is so important. To stand watch over those that would try to shut the lights down, to shut our vigil down, to end the story, or to change the story with lies. This is a very large group, but it's gotten smaller. And I don't care if I'm the last man standing on this hill, speaking to no one. I will tell this story until there is the last breath in my lungs because of the people that died that day, because what it means to me, and I know what it means all to you. So join me in telling your story, remembering their story. God bless America, and God bless all of you. Thank you.
I'd like to take a quick minute to acknowledge Michael Tanusis from Nicole Maliatakis' office is here, running for Assembly. Very nice. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Mr. Vito Bruno, you are the next speaker, my friend. Feel free to come up. Should be okay. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you all for having me. Thank you, the Harrison family, Glenn, Sarah, and the Brooklyn Tea Party, and the Dyker Civics Association for organizing this great event tonight. Tonight we're here to commemorate the sacrifices and perseverance that never forget one of the most despicable attacks our nation has ever seen, the attack of September 11, 2001. We're here to honor the memories of the almost 3,000 heroes, and that number keeps climbing. Just keep that in mind. Of those who were taken from us, because America is the land of freedom and opportunity, and because some evil and sick people with so much hatred in their heart thought that they could bring down our country. They thought America... here we go. We have a little mic issue here, I guess. They thought the Americans were weak people and would surrender to terror and run for their lives and do anything the terrorists asked. That didn't happen. We honor the memories of nearly 3,000 Americans plus that made their families proud by not running and cowering in fear. Oops. Sorry, guys. By cowering in fear, by hunting down the terrorists and bringing them to justice. This changed us forever. We all have stories from that day. I got some good ones. But we will never, ever forget 9/11. But now is not the time for vengeance. Now is not the time for blaming people and causing division. We must all come together and find common ground, no matter what our political ideology is. We must find a better way to support each other and to unify our neighborhoods and community by honoring all those that lost their lives at 9/11. By saying you love our country and standing for our flag or our national anthem does not identify you as a Democrat, a Republican, a liberal, or a conservative. It identifies you as an American. Yeah, that's right. We all love our country. That's why we're Americans. We love our country, we love our flag, and we respect our anthem. We could disagree on how to balance a budget, how to spend our defense entitlements, which programs get priority, and so forth. But we do not disagree that we love our country and we will defend our country. Do not let the hate mongers have their way. We all see what's going on in the streets in Seattle, Portland, the streets of New York. Don't let them have their way. We have so much more that unites us together than that divides us. We're grateful to live in the greatest country on earth. We live as American, and as it should say, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless you all for coming. Thank you. God bless New York, the greatest city in the world, the greatest fire department, the greatest first responders, and the greatest NYPD in the world.
Thank you very much. Next up, Francis.
Thank you, Eric. I do want to thank E&J Boutique for putting this on tonight. It's so important that we stand here together tonight as a community. Dyker Heights Civic Association is proud to co-sponsor this event tonight, and I hope that we continue to do this every year, because we must never, ever forget. Dyker Heights, like many communities in this city, suffered a great loss. It's so apropos that we stand across the street from St. Ephraim's Church. And the reason why I say that is because there's a memorial there at St. Ephraim's Church to those that were lost from that parish. If you have time after this vigil, go by there on the Bay Ridge Parkway side and take a look at that beautiful memorial. Those were our friends and neighbors. And all they did that day was go to work. They went to work, never thinking they wouldn't return. But that's what happened. We were attacked, this country was attacked, and they never came home. Our brave first responders, they ran into the building when everyone else was running out, they ran in, never thinking about their life. The greatest thing that you can do is to give up a life for a friend. They gave up their lives for somebody they didn't even know. Willingly, bravely, running in there and giving of themselves for all of us in this city. I stand here today looking at all of you, thanking you all for being here tonight, and saying to you, never, ever, ever, ever forget. We should never forget what happened. We should never forget the lives that lost. Every life that was lost represent a family and friends along with it. Thousands of people were impacted. Multiple thousands of people were impacted by this. A country was impacted. Our city was impacted. We should never forget. Always remember. Always, always remember the lives that were lost. And always remember that we must never forget that day in history. Thank you. God bless you all.
Our next speaker, Mr. Marty Golden.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, E&J Boutique, for putting this on. Dyker Civic, thank you. Glenn, Brooklyn Tea Party, thank you very much for putting this together. Thank you all for coming out. And most of all, thank you, our fire department and our New York City Police Department. Castle on the Hill, thank you for being here today. They lost 343 members of the fire department that day that ran into that building. As the lieutenant jumped off the truck, he says, some of us are not going to make this day. And guess what? He was right. Him and his men were killed. Right here in this very area, Dyker Heights, the Ritchie's family, I don't know if anyone's here, but that Ritchie's family, they suffered like many, many other families. And if you're Bay Ridge and 74th Street and you're a police officer, you know Maura Smith. She died that day as well. Police officers, port authority officers, many people in corporate America, people from the restaurant, cleaning material, you name it. Over 3,000 people died that day. Think about it. Think about the people that have died since then. How many people lie in ICUs today that are dying from the cancers? How many wakes and funerals have we gone to? And how many more will we go to? We can never forget, ladies and gentlemen. And this community didn't forget. This community formed the Congo line in Bay Ridge. And they sent men and trucks and construction teams going in there and hoping to find people alive. Unfortunately, we did not. We started the very next day sending food along with those construction teams to feed our police and fire that were on those lines trying to look and trying to find somebody alive. Unfortunately, again, we did not. We lost many good men and women. Where would they be today? Where would young Ritchies be today? Would he be a chief in the fire department? Where would Maura Smith be today? What would she have done? How many lives would they have saved running into those fires and pulling people out, running into those shootings and saving people's lives? They never got the opportunity to complete their lives. And that's why we can never forget them. And we can never forget their families. And we have to be there to support them. And we got to make sure that everybody remembers. Because we are this close, ladies and gentlemen, to the next 9/11. And we can never let that happen. We can never let this country ever get hurt again. We live in the greatest city and the greatest nation in the world. And we got to keep and let the world know that we are superior, and we will not allow that to happen in this nation again. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to continue to put on and to get out there and elect the right people into office, the people that are going to make a difference for those firemen, for those police officers, for your families, so that we never ever have to go through another 9/11. Ladies and gentlemen, it was the saddest day that this country had seen. And we're not even counting the millions that gave their lives since the Revolutionary War, World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Korea. The wars that continue to go on this very day, American soldiers dying overseas. Ladies and gentlemen, we can never forget their sacrifices either. And this is an ideal spot with that cross from St. Ephraim's looking over this park
so that we can remember each and every one of those souls, and that we can go home and pray for each and every one of those souls, and hope and pray that we have that opportunity as family members to enter into Christ's heaven, into his heavenly abode, to be with our brothers and sisters and our families again. Ladies and gentlemen, stay strong. Remember, we are the greatest city and the greatest nation in the world. And we are never going to have the situation that we've seen and 9/11 happen here. And we will all come together and fight with our fire department and our police department to make sure that we have our safe city here, and to make sure that they don't lay off our firemen or our police officers, and that we have more of them working there to make sure they're doing a job for us. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank all the people that put this together today. I want to thank my wife, because if I don't, I'll sleep in a separate room. Ladies and gentlemen, Colleen, thank you very much. Thank you, all of you, for being here today, and thank you for never forgetting. And hopefully, we'll see some of you down at 9/11 on that day, and our prayers will continue for each and every member that perished that day, and each and every member that continues to perish these very days. It's not 3,000, ladies and gentlemen. It's over 5,000. That's how many people have died, and it's going to continue. Keep your prayers working, ladies and gentlemen. God listens. God is with us each and every moment. God is inside each and every one of us. And we got to remember, again, we're one nation, under one great flag, under one God. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. God bless you, and God bless America.
Thank you, Marty. Our final speaker, Ms. Nicole Maliatakis.
Microphone. Already shut the microphone off. Eric, fix it.
I want to thank you all for being here this evening. And as I look around this park, I see people who love their nation, who love their city, who love their NYPD, FDNY, and first responders. I see people who are here to remember the thousands of lives that not only did we lose on September 11th, 2001, but since. Here we are, 19 years later, and we read about police officers, firefighters, first responders who are dying. The loss continues each and every day. And it is up to us to remind the rest of our nation the sacrifice of that day, but to teach the next generation who were not alive on 9/11/2001 the significance of what occurred that day. That everything that makes this nation truly special was the reason we were attacked. The American dream, our freedoms, our liberties, the unlimited potential and opportunity that America represents. That's why we were attacked on that day. I'm proud to have been a co-sponsor of the law that requires the young people in our schools to have a moment of silence, requires them to reflect on 9/11, what this day meant and represented. I'm proud to have co-sponsored legislation to ensure that the men and women who put their lives on the line those first responders have the benefits that they deserve. The least that we can do as a state for those individuals who selflessly served. But it really is incumbent upon all of us to never forget. And quite frankly, when I heard the news that they were not going to do the tribute in lights, that to me was saying that this city may have forgotten. But because of you, because of the patriots that live in our city, in our nation, that said, this is unacceptable. We must honor those lives lost with our tribute of lights, as we have done. We see those lights. And I looked out my window. I'm fortunate to have a nice view of where the towers did stand. And I saw those lights the other night. And I was so proud to be a New Yorker and so proud to be an American, because it meant that we stood up for those individuals who gave their life on that day, and those lights were shining. And that gave me much pride to say we weren't going to accept this. So I thank all of you for being here tonight. I thank our first responders who are here tonight, particularly those who walked from the castle on the hill, our great FDNY, and give them a round of applause again for all they do for our community. And I ask you all to join me. We have these beautiful lights. And I ask you all to just join me for a moment of silence in remembrance of those we've lost, not only on 9/11, but in the years since. Those who put their life on the line and were willing to go and be first responders and be recovery workers. And unfortunately, we've lost since. So please join me in that moment of silence. May God bless New York City. God bless our FDNY, our NYPD, our Port Authority Police, our MTA Police, our EMT, EMS, all our first responders. God bless America. Thank you very much.
Once again, I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight.
Can't hear.
Oh, thank you. Once again, I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. It was a beautiful turnout. I want to thank our guest speaker. Fantastic, very touching. We really appreciate it. I want to thank our FDNY. I want to thank our NYPD. As all the guest speakers have said, I want to thank all our first responders who keep us safe every day. Please get home safe. Please remain safe. Take care of your families. God bless you. God bless America. And good night.